At least it wasn't our fault right here in the bottom left side. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it's Rogue, the red Zerg.
And I'll talk more about the how this match is actually going to face out. As in the top right, you have XY, your Chinese Terran, 31-year-old, pretty good to still be competing at this level at that age. Not a lot of players you see like that. But yeah, so to explain the format a little bit, this is kind of reminiscent of, I think, pro leagues of old. If you watch the Chinese Team League before this, same format where you have 3 best of 2s. So you have players matched up, they'll face off in a best of, or in 2 games. It's not really a best of 2 because you can go 1-1, you can go 2-0 either way. But the first team to reach 4 wins, like a regular best of 7, will win. And then, if need be, the seventh game is the decider match. Both teams can throw out any player on the last map, and that will decide who wins. So 2 games will be played between XY and Rogue, and then you'll move on to the next set. So then after that, you'll be having your Max Set versus Zest. So that's just a little bit how the format works. It's pretty fun. It's really nice to see like these players, just what they bring in a best of 2, because it's so short. So you can really do anything. You don't have to worry about, like in a best of 5, well, if I cheese here, am I going to be able to, bring out other strategies later on? It's just 2 games that you got to play.
Definitely some stuff going wrong here with the Chinese production FireBird. But we're just gonna roll with it. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I also think something that can have an influence on your overall mentality within this best of 2, because you only have those 2 matches, right? You are representing your team. You definitely want to win these ones, and whether that makes you more or less comfortable to try an all-in or a cheese or something, I'm not entirely certain, right? I personally, I would feel like maybe that is a bit too much of a gamble for some of these players. Just going balls to the wall, full aggression into, hopefully he doesn't prepare for this strategy kind of thing.
Yeah, and when you have a player like Rogue, of course, he's obviously just going to play macro. That's where he's the most comfortable. We've seen Rogue, pull out some aggressive builds. But that's usually after he gets a win in a macro game or something like that. And he's like, you know what? I'm feeling confident enough that I can just be aggressive here. And even if it doesn't kill you, I know I can get to the late game and probably win there.
Yeah. So I'm not sure whose tab on the bottom is whose right now. I believe that the top one is still for XY and the bottom one is still for Rogue. I think. I'm not even sure.
Yes, I know. I believe the red one is for Rogue. I think the colors are right. The names are wrong.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. But something interesting going on actually. XY pulling out the very, very quick 3rd CC, even before his starport.
No, wait. The bottom is Rogue. The blue one is Rogue.
Oh, okay.
I just looked. I was looking at the production tab, and the supply went up as the drones came. So yeah, Rogue. Yeah, he might not be blue, but he is the bottom one in the tab right there.
All right. Glad we got that figured out.
Yeah, it's important. Otherwise, this is going to be a hard cast. Honestly, it's already difficult not being able to observe yourself, right? Just kind of being reliant on what these Chinese observers are bringing you to. But yeah, if you don't know whose tab on the bottom is whose, then that would be a real difficulty. Anyway, Fusion Core coming up right now. We have some battlecruiser tech. Pretty cool.
I actually really, really like this from XY, because this isn't all-in battlecruisers. This isn't where he's saying, I'm going to build 3 BCs, I'm going to try and do a ton of damage with them. He's probably going to build 1 and not opt to go into the next 2, because usually with BCs, you'll build 1 to 3 of them, just because that's the most efficient number usually is how it ends up working out. But he has the really fast 3rd CC. As I said, this came down before his starport. Ooh, Rogue might see the Fusion Core just barely. That might have been out of range still.
Could have been. He's checking right now. Okay, was out of range, but he did see the tech lab on that starport. Now, I don't think he's tried to get stealth on there or something, like, right? Making it look like he's doing something else. So, overall, I mean, it could still be a Raven as well. That is something we see occasionally. But I'm going to assume that Rogue here is, at least going to prepare for a potential battlecruiser or something like that attack, right?
Yeah, and I think I know exactly what Attack XY is doing here. This is such a fun build. This is what I like to do. I I like to do it off 2 bases because, you know, I'm a bit of a cheesy Terran myself, and sometimes you just gotta try and kill the opponent. But he's going fully into mech off this BC. Like, this is not even just him trying to get the BCs to macro into bio. No, he's going mech. That's 2 armor he's going down.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try to combine the battlecruiser with Hellbats here as well, just make a full frontal attack, or try to get some multi-pronged harassment going. Should be seeing the battlecruiser jump in somewhere right about now. I think it's in the main base. No? Is it out yet? Where the hell did it go?
See? Yeah, I don't think it has hopped in, probably defending against that Ling. Yeah, defending against the Ling run back. And yeah, I think it is actually pretty possible for... I think there is a possibility here for XY to try and do something with the Hellions with Hellbats, because he's certainly produced enough. He has like 10 Hellions already, but it looks like right now he's just using the battlecruiser to clear up vision to try and give him a little bit more map control while he's trying to get into this really early 3rd base and just power up into a mech army.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Relying on it very defensively. It's not something you see all the time, right? Normally, that first battlecruiser will just, oh, that changeling underneath the factory. That's fun. But yeah, normally you just see that battlecruiser jump across. Hellions try to poke in somewhere, but nothing like that happening here just quite yet. Might be because he got scouted out as well. But there we go. Now he's getting some drones.
Yeah, like this just drives the battlecruiser straight in and says, you know what, I can tactical jump out, get 7 drones, and that's actually really efficient considering that Rogue had his defenses in place. He had a Spore Crawler and like 5 queens.
No, FireBird, that was, of course, still a little bit later than normally, so the drone count for Rogue was already at, like, it's still at 70, right? That's pretty nuts.
Well, I mean, but you also have to consider the fact that XY is like surprisingly doing really well. He has 65 workers himself. Like, he's not actually slouching on that worker production. He's fully saturated on his 3 bases. The only question is, will he have enough to deal with the corruptors? Because once that BC gets killed, you know, there's really not a lot to deal with a Mutilus transition if that ends up coming through.
Yeah, that's a good point. Almost makes you wonder if he could have gone straight for those Mutilus, right? But I mean, thoughts are never too far away from this moment on, but we'll have to wait and see. A lot of siege tanks coming up. What's the rogue-based force here being made for Rogue? Rogue does recently do a lot of rogue-based into Hydra lurker composition play. So that could work out pretty well here for XY, right? If that is the case, then he's already got those siege tanks. He's already got a couple of battle cruisers to use your Mato cannons if he wants to. He's going to have Thors. It's going to be pretty well set up for such an army composition of Rogue, and I think it's going to come down to Rogue spellcasters in a sense, right? He should try to get himself up to there, and only then really try to make any aggressive move against such a well-fortified Terran player.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Rogue might have expected this to be a bit more of a committal into BCs. He only saw the 1, but usually you don't rush up into the Corruptors if you only expect there to be 1 battlecruiser, because he committed to 11 Corruptors. You're going to kill that BC. Even if you have 5 Corruptors, you're going to kill it. So I think he thought there was going to be more, but it's kind of the wrong read here, because again, XY is on a very, very healthy worker count. He's getting up his 4th base, and he's just powering up on tanks. Like, even if you have a lot of Roach Ravager, it's very, very hard to zone out that many tanks.
Yeah. He is still making battlecruisers, though, to be fair. I'm not sure how many he has right now, but I mean, it is a couple at least.
Oh my, this is it.
Good luck.
I just saw all the red.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the red moving out on the map, and it was a bit scary, but it does look like Rogue's just going to try and cancel that 4th base. Sees that it's really only the Hellions that are there and 1 or 2 tanks, and he can absolutely cancel that. The battlecruisers, because the Corruptors are in the main, can come over and clean that up, but it's snipe on the armory, slows down that +2 armor, which is, the less of the important upgrades for mech. Usually, even for mech, the attack upgrades are so important because they just do so much more damage with their shots. The tanks do, at least.
In this sense, it would have benefited both the ground forces and the air forces, right? For XY, so maybe that's the one little limelight there, perhaps. But still, yeah, I mean, the weapon upgrades, especially your Roaches, we definitely would have liked it if that was the one that got targeted down, of course.
Ooh, a nice angle here by Rogue, but again, there are just a lot of tanks here. The battlecruisers aren't going to be able to fight at all. They have to immediately jump out, but honestly, the Hellbat line is just keeping these roaches off of the tanks, and yeah, Rogue Ravager does not trade well against Hellbat tank, just straight up in that fight, because it's so hard to get on top of the tanks. It's so hard to land biles before all of your roaches are just gone.
You know what the scariest part was of that entire thing? Rogue's supply never went below max. He just kept making stuff, right? He's just getting rid of those roaches here, and he's getting ready for the next set of army, which I believe is more roaches. They're coming across the map right now. Yeah, it's just another wave of roaches. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I like this. I like that Rogue is managing to cancel the 5th base at the very least. But the only thing that I'm scared about is the fact that he's not really trading out army here. He's trading a lot of roaches to kill CCs, and that's really about it. And of course, Rogue does have a massive bank, so he can just do that because he's on 5 bases. And as he pushes in here, the Roach is going to try and clean up tanks again, though it's not a very efficient trade. The BCs, the repairs on the BCs mean they absolutely clean up the Corruptors, and Rogue can't push in.
Do need more of those Corruptors, apparently. But yeah, that repair was absolutely gorgeous. There was a nice couple of biles as well, landing on those SCVs, but I mean, XY holds for now. I'm still a little bit worried about his supply. He did lose a couple of siege tanks there as well, so maybe the next Roach wave, right? This might be the last one. It's hard to say, although there's no more Corruptors here. It takes a long time for battlecruisers to kill Roaches, right?
Yeah, even though they will eventually clean it up, it does just take forever. Even with 3 of them, oh my god, this is so much Zerg.
So many annoying siege mode running in, and again, so many of these siege tanks do go down, and pretty much resets the entire tank count. Loses all of his roaches as well. I would love to see the units lost tab here, but well, there's something. That's the income grab right there. Looks like Rogue's doing well.
I mean, Rogue's doing well, but you also have to consider the fact that he's playing against a mech here, and he's traded out again army for army, which is usually what you want to do, but he doesn't have a bank anymore. And he's rebuilding 11 Corruptors, which sure, they'll do well, but XY is still comfortable on 4 bases. This is where mech wants to be. They can sit on 4 bases for a long time, just try and trade against army until the Zerg eventually runs out of steam. They take a 5th, they keep macroing up, and XY is not having any issue rebuilding his army at the moment. He's not stressed for money. None of his bases that are important have actually been killed off. Again, Rogue was just been trading for building CCs.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting some siege things, but yeah, in the end, what is still standing for XY here does seem to be a lot more impressive than what is standing for Rogue. But yeah, Rogue, I still hope that he's going to try to make a transition into the later game tech here. I mean, all those Corruptors, in a way, he's getting the +3/+3. I feel like he may want to try to just contain the 4 base, right? Keep denying the 5th with whatever type of army he can assemble right now. And then from that moment onwards, try to get himself into the later game tech. But I don't think he has much more time than that, really.
Yeah, no, Rogue's not really playing with a lot of time here. Again, his bank is completely gone, and he doesn't really have a concrete transition. I mean, right now he's getting more upgrades for his Zerglings, and I've seen Zerglings work against mech, but that's Raynor. He's also the world champion. He makes wonderful things happen out of absolutely nothing. It's just in this situation, Lings aren't going to cut it because there are Hellbats and tanks and battle cruisers and everything that Zerg does not like.
For sure. 3 more factories being added in as that 5th base is looking pretty promising right now for XY. Rogue making a lot of banelings here. It looks like he's just planning to try and blow up the Hellbats. Or the Thors. I hope he's not gonna go for the Thors with this.
Yeah.
Please don't try to kill the Thors like this.
There's not really like a Hellbat frontline. The frontline is Thors now. So these banelings, I don't. Oh, okay. He just finished up Central Fugal Hook. So yeah, I don't know what the plan here for Rogue in the long term is.
I think
again, this army doesn't trade well.
I think he wants to roll the banelings into the base. I think that is what he wants. Oh, no, wait, what? Well, let's see. Where's he going? Okay, he's going to go for the Thors. No, the siege tank. He's like, where are these Hellbats?
Yeah, turns out Hellbats kind of get phased out of the mech army as soon as you can just pump 3 Thors at a time. And, yeah, 30 Banelings don't really do too much. They kill 2 Thors.
Nope, that's the units lost that. Ah, that is a nasty one for Rogue.
I mean, even this, just... Yeah, he's getting damage with the Corruptors, and the Corruptors are probably the only part of his army that is going to scale well. He will actually snipe off the base before the BCs get there, which is huge, but... I mean, I think there's already a replacement CC up. XY has been doing a really great job of actually just building CCs behind this so that he has replacements. So it's not going to be an issue for him to get up his 5th base. Sure, Rogue, you know, has insane creep sped and he's all over the map, but in just a straight up fight, his army just doesn't win.
Yeah, it's just not there, right? I really did anticipate some sort of a transition out of Rogue a long time ago, but it might just be him underestimating his opponents, right? It could just be him thinking to himself, you know what, I don't need to put in the effort to try and get a transition going here. I will just be able to beat him like this, and you know what, it's he's getting some SCVs here. Losing a lot of roaches, but he's, well, got a Thor.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a trade of, what, 7 SCVs and 2 Thors for, again, another 40 Banelings and a whole lot of roaches. And he's also still losing his Corruptors. I wouldn't mind this if Rogue had a transition. If he had something that he could go into late game. If he could, you know, transition to Broodlord and Fester, even though, you know, it's not the best against mech late game, it's still something different. It's something that will just fight better than what he's building.
Yeah, at least get Vipers, right? Something like that for the blinding clouds. Get rid of the siege tank fire early on in the fight. You have to be a little bit careful for the Thors as well. They can snipe those, but overall, you know what? With the Corruptors there tanking the damage, you should be able to get a lot more done. Or like you said, Infestus, right? I mean, if you manage to get a Burrow and some neural parasites off, fan-bloody-tastic. Though, XY has been very adamant about placing down a lot of creep sims. He's trying to take a base on the right side here as well, perhaps? No, okay, that's his battle cruisers flying around.
Yeah, I don't think either player can really take that right side base, as that's a nice snipe onto one of the BCs, but also loses 5 Corruptors for it, which in a straight up money trade is not the best. Oh my god, Rogue diving in!
He's just going for it. He's like, well, this battle cruiser count is not that high anymore. I probably don't need these Corruptors as badly as I used to. So, you know, I'm not that upset about this. He wants a more anti-Thor army, right? So those Corruptors probably not gonna get too much done. Just getting all these battle cruisers right now, I mean, I'm not that upset about it. We're gonna go into Ultralisk here, by the way. Pretty cool.
Okay. Not the unit that I would think of to counter this army, but I guess Rogue really wants to actually just go into Ultralisk. He's trying to build a lot of lings here to try and pick off some tanks, or perhaps, yeah, it looks like he's gonna try and just get some tank kills. Which, I mean, the lings do well at. When the tanks are alone, they can very easily get focused down by those lings, and the friendly fire will pick them off. And now Ravager army coming in, going to pick off. Oh, there we go. Tank shot actually killing off the Thor, but 2 Thors going down as well. And Rogue, he's kind of getting back into this. You know, XY, of course, was in a great position, but I think the only issue for him has been that he hasn't really had any counterattack damage. Like, if he had been able to get in some Hellion run-bys, you know, go for anything like that, he probably could be in a much better position in terms of Rogue just not having this massive 7-base economy.
I like that we're seeing 5 Hellions now on the production tab here, FireBird. That gives me a bit of hope here for XY as well, because, I mean, Zerglings, if you just have Thors and Siege Tanks, Zerglings are going to kill you. Especially if the battle cruisers aren't there anymore either, right? They really are the quick way to deal with the Zerglings. Unless if you're, of course, set up with all your Siege Tanks together, right? You will be able to very quickly deal with the Zerglings before they're on top of you, but with a reasonable bit of spreading, right? Coming in from different angles, Zerglings against just Thor Siege Tanks, that is going to be quite a bit of carnage.
Yeah, especially with the adrenal glands on those Zerglings.
Yeah.
They don't take long when there's a lot of them to melt through armor. It doesn't matter how much of that you have, as a few more Thors actually going to get caught out. There's a planetary here. Only one ends up going down, but any of these Thors being picked off is good for Rogue while he's trying to get into his late game. And finally, he's getting Infestors. Finally, he's transitioning into his tier 3 tech. It took a while, and he probably could have died if XY had pushed out at all, but XY seems pretty content to just kind of play Brood War style Turtle Terran here with CCs at the, or Planetaries at the front and lots of missile turrets.
Yeah, these two bases right now being taken by Rogue on the right and the left side, a little bit towards XY, of course. Normally are supposed to be his bases. These are going to be crucial locations right now. XY cannot afford that Rogue really mines from those. Rogue, on this side of the map, you can see already mining out quite heavily. Rogue did manage to establish that base on the left side. I would say try to get that just filled out with drones as quickly as possible and get as many minerals away from there as you can. And preferably, right, Rogue would like to get rid of this army on the right side here, not allow XY to expand there either. Because with just the sheer volume of efficiency, if XY is allowed to get the same amount of bases, that will be an instant lose.
Has 4 more CCs come down, but Neural Parasite is done. These, oh, well, the Infestors are now scouted out. So, Neural Parasite's coming down onto a few Thors. There's no tanks here to actually back up the Thors, meaning that the Infestors can't be sniped down. Baneling's rolling in, trying to get as much damage as possible, but again, the tanks just kill that army, and 2 Thors that were Neural Parasited, they didn't get a lot done. They're going to now be able to turn back and fire, but the focus onto the Infestors, a good trade. But again, XY's army still is not much worse for wear. He lost, what, 3 Thors there? He still has 9.
Yeah, he is at 150 supply, but that is also due to him only having 50 workers. He managed to get a good amount of drones killed on the left side as well, so denying Rogue mining there, really well done. Ooh. And he's getting more value killing those Infestors, yeah. I'm loving these planetary fortresses setups by him as well. Just in front of his army, next to the Thors. Very, very good stuff. Just incredibly good against those Zerglings as well. We don't have a planetary fortress here, though. The Zerglings are rushing forwards. Everything is melting on this base. It looks like the second wave of Rogue came in a little bit too early. XY not quite ready yet with the defense on this one. And that will be an orbital going down. And that was the main base orbital, if I'm not mistaken.
And mind you, I think the only reason why Rogue can really just like build 100 Zerglings and run through is mostly because XY cannot have his whole army in one spot. Again, he has at least, I think, 5 tanks over on the left side of the map. Still, I would love to see XY just mix in more Hellbats. Again, just like pump 6 at a time. I really don't think that's bad. You're seeing that Rogue isn't transitioning out of these lings. You just have a large group of Hellbats and they suddenly can't run in, but as it is now, they're getting on top of so many tanks, and sure there are a lot, but the friendly fire damage is absolutely massive, and there are no planetaries at this angle.
Yeah, this is where it gets really difficult now for XY. Supply is plummeting. He's holding on the line, but, I mean, Rogue has been on 2 more base economy for a really long time. Now 3 bases, in fact, right? So yeah, this is becoming quite a bad situation. It looks like Rogue, he may have been inefficient with his trading, but he has been able to claim enough of the map here that inefficiency may just be able to win him the game anyway.
Has 3 Ultralisks popping out. The first ones that we'll see to game. The army supply has just kind of seesawed back for a while. XY there was on equal army supply. In fact, had more, but he's just had to rebuild tanks. Because again, the Zergling run-bys have been doing so much damage. They've been being able to pick off tanks. Ooh, no scan here just yet. Neural Parasite's going down on 2 tanks, but all the Infestors get blown up. Yeah, I mean, I think Rogue just might have too much. XY, he's played a wonderful game, but he tried to hold this position, and he had none of his static defense to really hold it. And sure, you can work with 36 workers. You have plenty of orbitals, but you need a bit more than that. He will clean up this army. Yeah. Just the question is, can you hold off the next wave?
Bruiser getting neuraled as well. I mean, it's not that much anymore here for Rogue. He doesn't have that much in the bank, but I mean, this is the base that is incredibly crucial for XY. His base is also kind of mined out. You can see on the minimap, only really that top left side base with a couple of mineral patches, and that is drying up quickly as well. He doesn't have much anymore.
Yeah, the mules can only do so much when they don't have the mineral patches available. That third base and the natural are all mined out. XY, it feels bad because if he had been able to get up a planetary at that 6th, I feel like he really could have held it. But
yeah,
he tried to move his army down before he even had that. He didn't float over any of his CCs to actually build it, and he's gonna try and, you know, kill this base, but all he has is tanks at this point, and now the Zerglings, this is where they work, because you don't have any buffer. They can just get on top of it. You have Infestors as well, and sure, the Planetaries can do a lot, but they can't do enough. Rogue should just be able to run this over, and that will be GG called. Rogue takes game 1.
Well played there by Rogue. Taking the first victory, we'll put him up on the boards there. XY played pretty darn good, honestly. Not gonna lie, that was a fun game of him. Made it a little bit difficult for Rogue there, right? Definitely made him bide his time, and it did come down to a difference of 1 or 2 bases. If XY did manage to grab that 6th, as you mentioned, get a planetary fortress there, very likely that it's a lot easier for him, of course. Or just deny Rogue mining off of that kind of, what was it, the 10 o'clock base, or the 11 o'clock base. Well, anyway, didn't quite work out for him at that time. Maybe the next round will serve him better in this best of 2.
Yeah, I think just there, XY got a bit stuck in the Turtle Terran mentality, where you're just like, all right, I just got to defend these bases, and I can eventually win the game. Because if he had thrown in a few counterattacks with Hellions, just some run-bys trying to kill workers, making sure that Rogue couldn't just build his whole army and throw it at one spot, if he, you know, I think if he had pushed for those tanks sooner or anything like that, he probably could have done quite a bit there to get himself in the lead. Also didn't push out as well, but again, it's such a hard call to make when you're playing that Turtle Terran style.
Yeah.
It's really hard to judge when you actually have a bigger army than the Zerg, because they're just constantly throwing units at you.
Yeah, for sure. Never really feels safe to move such a slow army, you know. Very likely to just get counterattacked as well in moments like those, and then you're just stuck across the map with one of the slowest armies in existence. And, yeah, it's never great, especially if Rogue already has 20 bases across the map as well, right? A base trade not gonna serve your best interest, but well, you do have the planetary fortresses as well still. But anyway, second map, Submarine. Now this one should be a lot more favored for XY, normally speaking, and I think even with his turtleneck style, this might be an easier one for him, right? There's less bases, there's less space, so if he does want to make a push, it's a lot easier for him to do, a lot less space to cover. And well, we're already starting here. Top left side, he's from Invictus Gaming, the blue Terran, Mr. XY.
And in the bottom right, it's your red Zerg, featuring Dragon Phoenix Gaming. His name is Rogue. I don't know what a Zog is, but that's certainly not what I was trying to say.
At least you didn't call him a Protoss or a Terran, right? Nice. You got the first syllable right, and the last one.
Yeah, that's all that we need to do. But yeah, the Submarine is a much more Terran-favored map, just because it's very, very short vertically. So going base to base, the distance from like the Terran's 3rd to the Zerg's 4th is really short. It is very, very close if you just head straight across. So that means that even if you are playing a slow-moving army like Mech, actually regrouping your army after you win a big fight and pushing across isn't too hard. Plus, you have so much high ground to work with, as you know, if you are going to play Mech, that it's a lot harder for I think the Zerg to push up, because you know on Jagannatha, there are quite a few just even ground footings, like pushing into the 3rd, trying to fight down that ramp towards the 5th. So it allowed Rogue to get some pretty good trades with his Zerglings, but this map is a bit... It's similar to push onto, but to defend, it's going to be much harder for the Zerg.
Yeah. It's also a lot more choke points, right? Jagannatha still has very wide open areas, and yeah, like you said, helps out those Zerglings. Let's see. Expansion on the low ground. Reaper expand. Easy stuff. There was the spawning pool first here for Rogue. See how much he commits to this. There's the metabolic boost as well. So it's at least somewhat of a committal. Although Rogue does this sometimes, doesn't he? He just makes the 4 lings, he gets the speed, and then he just goes back into droning.
Yeah, and pretty much the whole idea is that he hopes that the Reaper moves across the map so that he can slow down the CC. Even if a Marine is built, even with good micro, doesn't beat 4 Zerglings. Maybe 2. Maybe you can get away with 2, not 4. So he's just going to try and slow down that CC, get a kill onto the FCV. But yeah, as soon as XY here sees that the hatchery is so late, he should kind of know that there's probably going to be something coming across the map. Not too much. It's not like a 12 pool all in, but just a little something.
Yeah, a couple of lings, nothing too much. We'll be able to get there. There's a Marine finishing up about now as well, but that's ling speed. Oh, there's 2 of them. Alright, really the slightest bit of delays overall. Sometimes I feel like Zergs do this as well, just to be safe against like a proxy 2 Rex, right? Or just to get the rock paper scissors victory against the 2 Rex. Because you can see how he kind of moves his links as well into the normal direction. The left side he could cover with his Overlord, so he could check there for the proxy Rex. And then the links went all the way through the top side on the right side, where, you know, it's not uncommon to have some proxy Rexes coming down. But, it's a little bonus to also being able to get across the map.
Ooh, nice Spore Crawler trick there to save the drone. But yeah, the 14 pool, it doesn't really slow down the Zerg all that much. They have a slightly later natural base, but their 3rd base is not too much worse for wear because of it. So I like that Rogue just kind of did it to be safe, did it to see if he could get some damage. He couldn't in the end, though. So that means that XY just has that tiny little advantage heading into the macro game, where he's going for the same build with that very, very early 3rd base. And oh my god, this Reaper is still alive. Just goes around the whole base, sees everything, but it's okay. No, he gets out too. So
yeah, I think also a thing that might have gone through Rogue's head just overall, right? If he just plays it safe, he feels like he's better than his opponent. So even if he does give up a slight advantage in the overall macro game, he should be able to get himself ahead again from that point, and then still be safe from those earlier on potential harassments, right?
I kind of like what XY did here. I don't know if it's gonna work, but he built the Banshee, and he obviously doesn't have the fusion core or fusion reactor. Well, Rogue scouted it anyway. I think the idea was there that he didn't have the fusion reactor, so maybe Rogue would think that he was faking it, and then realize that he was faking it, but he was actually going to Banshees with Cloak anyway. Then Rogue just scouts it, so none of that came through. The mind games don't matter because he scouts it anyway.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes Terrans still do manage to do a lot of damage with those Banshees, though, even though it does get scouted. But not sure. I haven't seen XY's Banshee control all that often.
It's definitely going to be interesting because we also have Cure coming up later, who has some very, very good Banshee micro, but he does just switch out of it. He says, you know what, it's not really worth it. He scouted it. He's going to have Spore Crawlers and Queens. And I honestly, again, I don't mind it because XY is in a good position here. Again, he's fully saturated on 2 bases. He did actually pump out 1 Banshee, just to correct that, but he's going straight into bio this time, and it's a good position to be in because he's in the same spot that he was when he went mech, but he's going to have an army that can trade much better early on.
Should be pretty darn good. Let's see. Spire coming down for Rogue here. Right, it does kind of look like just a Ling Bane Mutalisk. I mean, that's a good call with what is happening in this game. And yeah, I think we're just going to have a bit of good old... We're still seeing the siege tanks being made, though. That's a bit surprising. No Widowmines just quite yet.
Yeah, I have the feeling that XY likes his siege tanks. From what I've seen so far of his play, haven't seen much, but seems to like the siege tanks. I think he's a fan of that unit, and I don't think siege tanks are actually too bad against Ling Bane early on. They do get a lot less effective the longer the game goes and the more of them that there are, but in the early stages, they're very good for defense. Of course, you do want to see him switch into Widow Mines, and he's getting up the armory, so that swap should be coming pretty soon with a very early second factory.
All right. Yeah, that could be for, well, either a reactor, right? So he wants to keep the tech lab on the other one as the armory finishes up, get drilling claws maybe, or, well, we'll see. It's kind of what I would
very
anticipate.
early Thors?
Could be. Just
Like
wants to
it.
go Thor siege tanks with the Marines.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I know I've seen Special try and do this where he like does a bio mech mix and he like tries to include both units from both tech trees into his early game army. It didn't work out in the game that I saw, but I think against Lingbane Muta, it's definitely possible because you do already see the Terrans go, they go their Marine Marauder Medevac, but they also go Mines and Thors added in there. Oh, there are no missile turrets, so this army coming in here should be able to trade pretty well. The army has to come back to fight it. The missile turrets going down now, but these mutilates can get a whole lot of damage done.
Yeah, XYC or XY on the map and not really finding himself the best moment to leave the base unprotected. A couple of siege tanks go down, a couple of the SCVs as well. Most of the Mutalisks get out. It's a little nice run by there by Rogue.
Actually didn't end up getting as much damage as I thought. I felt like he could do a lot more, but he just trades out for like 3 tanks, loses all of his Zerglings, which he now has to rebuild, and he's on a lower army supply than the Bio Terran, which is never a situation you want to be in. And he's just going to try and keep the Terran home with these run-bys, with these attacks. And yeah, XY has to turn around here, which, is a bit unfortunate because he does have an army where if he pushed across the map and got a good trade, I mean, I don't see any Banelings coming out for Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue is just, like you said, in a complete locking down XY position. And XY, he does not feel comfortable leaving, right? He isn't comfortable leaving because if he does, all his SCVs will die and, well, he'll have to kill his opponent with that push that he's doing right here, right now. It's already 23 SCVs. That's a bit too much to lose.
It didn't seem too bad at first because, again, he brought back the army once again, was able to get in position, but he actually pulled the SCVs into the Zerglings.
It wasn't a pretty sight, that's for sure. Siege tanks once again kind of showing why they are not as efficient against the Mutalisk as the Widowmine. Still not really having seen a specific use for that second factory yet either. Like,
yeah, I mean, the good thing here for XY... Well, I'm not sure, actually. We haven't been able to see his main base in a while, but the good news here for XY is he is going to be up 2 upgrades. He's going to be up +1 attack, and he's going to be up +1 armor with his 3/3 already starting. So when he actually does end up trading out, as long as he splits against the Banelings, his army should just win that fight straight up. Because, again, Rogue's just powering up on units. He doesn't have a lot of gas for actual upgrades because he's making so many Banelings. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a matter of whether or not Rogue allows him to have this straight-up fight, right? He could just run around the map continuously, wait for him to get aggressive, and then move into the base, go for that base race again.
It feels like XY might just actually wait for a 3/3 attack. He's just going to try and max out 3/3, knows he has better upgrades, and kill the Zerg, which I think is fine, but he needs to secure that 4th base, and that's what he's trying to do. But that is so many Zerglings that are moving in. There are Hellbats here, but they don't have Blue Flame. Split against the Banelings is decent, actually. Banelings not being able to get too many good connections, and Banshee can help clean this up, but the Mutalisk in the main just going to kill the Thor, get a whole lot more of SCV kills, and Rogue, he's really good at...
No! Well, that was unfortunate.
Well, this game just went from manageable to unwinnable in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's what happens. that's what happens when you don't pay attention to your Marines. Oh man. Oh well, XY. I mean, it was an interesting series, right? The first game definitely a bit more interesting than the second one, but well thought overall. Rogue. I mean, he's just being Rogue right now, right? Look at this Mutalisk control, not losing pretty much any of them. and killing 30 some SCVs, right? With 20 missile turrets around.
Yeah, I actually think XY didn't produce as many missile turrets as needed. He didn't get a lot in the main. He only had a Thor and one in the mineral line, which means the Thor's just going to get picked off. Allows the Mutalisks to kind of do whatever they want, and then also was not paying attention to the front. GG is called 2-0 for Rogue.